Before we get started with the lesson, I want to show you a little trick that you can use so that you can have the video open as well as the link to your textbook. If you go up to the top of your screen and you click on the two little squares, you can open another tab, and when you drag it over, you now have two windows that you can work from. And you can make one smaller than the other. I can look at one at the same time. I can drag this one over a little bit if I need to, so that I can have both of them open and they're both there with me, so that I can look at them both. So I can just drag one over and have one open there and one open here. Now, where that might be beneficial to you is you might want to have the video open and the link that I have to the textbook so that you can read and pause the video as we go, because this is the page in the textbook and I'm going to be talking about some things and giving you some formulas as we go. So on this first page, you can see that we have two different squares that are here, and this section talks about linear measure, it talks about square units, it talks about volume, and you need to know the difference between those. Linear measure means that you are measuring something that is long. So perimeter is a linear measure. If you're measuring the surface of something, like if I were trying to cover this square, that's area. If I'm trying to fill up a box, so pretend this is a tissue box and I'm trying to pour something into it, that's volume. And if you'll notice the little symbols that are on here, if I'm measuring something, let's say it's in inches, then my answer would be in inches. If I'm measuring something in area, see the little abbreviation on here? It would be in square inches, and the little 2 on the inch just means square inches. It doesn't mean square the number. If I'm doing volume, notice there's a little 3 there, and that stands for cubic inches or whatever units that you're looking for. So that's the kind of thing that we're looking at here. So let's practice those kinds of problems. And if you'll look at the problem here in your book, it says for each item, state whether you would use linear, square, or cubic measure. So the amount of carpeting needed in a room. If I'm carpeting something, I'm covering the surface of it, so that would be a square measure. An extension cord length. You can lay out an extension cord and you can see that it is long, so that would be linear measure. The amount of sand in a sandbox. I'm pouring the sand into the box, so that is a cubic measure. The length of a curtain rod. That's something that's long, that's linear measure. The amount of flour in a canister. I'm pouring that in my canister, that's cubic measure. And the size of the roof of a doghouse. Now, if I'm covering that roof, that would be area. If you scroll down in your book, and this is another reason that I like for you to have the book open while you're watching the video, if you click on show the solution for each example, it actually tells you the answer out beside it. So that's a nice little feature of this book that you would have. So here's another example problem. It says determine whether you would use linear, square, or cubic measure for each item. The amount of paint in a can. And I want you to pause the video here, read through this example, and then click show solution so that you can determine if you understand the concept that we're talking about here. You have two examples that are here that you can do that with. So go ahead and pause the video, look at your book, and try to do those two problems. Now, perimeter and area have two different formulas. Perimeter is your distance around, so something that's linear, the length of something. So if you have something that's irregular, and I'm just going to pull up a screen that I can actually write on with you. So let's say you had something that was irregular. So something that looked like that. As long as you know the measurements of each side, you just simply add those numbers up. See, I left out the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have my 6 sides. I just add those numbers up. So 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 plus 4 is 9. 9 plus 6 is 15, plus 5 is 20, so 27. And whatever these are, if they're inches, I would say the perimeter is 27 inches. So if it's a figure that's irregular, you simply just add the sides up. You do have formulas for some basic shapes, and in this particular video lesson, we will talk about the square, the rectangle, and the triangle. And in the triangle, the formula for the perimeter, and you might want to write this down on a separate sheet of paper, is labeled as S1 plus S2 plus S3. And notice all you're doing, if this is side 1, side 2, and side 3, all you're doing for perimeter is you're adding the numbers up. So that's what the formula looks like for the perimeter of a triangle. For a square, you have P for perimeter, and you will see it look like this. It will either be the S1 for the 4 sides, or since in a square, a characteristic of a square is that all 4 sides are the same, this is what you will see for the formula of the perimeter of a square, 4 times S, because each side is the same. So 4 times 4 for that one would be a perimeter of 16. For a rectangle, these two sides are the same, the opposite sides are the same. So I could either add them all up, and you'll again see S1 plus S2 plus S3 plus S4 for the perimeter, or since those two opposite sides are the same, you will see this formula, P equals 2 times the length plus 2 times the W. So if the length is 10, I would say 2 times 10 is 20, plus 2 times 5 is 10, so 20 plus 10 is 30. And if I were to add these numbers up, 10 plus 10 plus 5 plus 5, I would still get 30. So the 3 formulas that you need for your perimeter are for the square. And what I would do is I would take a piece of paper. Let me just pause the video for a minute. I would take a sheet of paper and I would label it, and I would put perimeter, and I would draw a picture of each shape that we're talking about, and I would put my formula. So there's your formula for the square. Here's the rectangle. And then here's your triangle. So P equals S1 plus S2 plus S3. Those sides don't necessarily have to be the same, so that's why your formula is not 3 times S. So that's for perimeter. So let's see, let's pull the book back up and take a look. You will also have area, formula for area. And area, remember, is the measure of the surface covered by the figure. So you will have some formulas for area that you will need to make sure that you know. So let's pull up our paper again. So I would add to my paper, I would add area. And for a square, you would have A for area equals side times side, and the little dot represents the time symbol. Since the two sides are the same and you're basically squaring that number, because remember, to square a number it means multiply it by itself, you will also see the formula look like this. So if I had a square with a side of 3, the area would be 3 times 3, which would be 9 square inches, square centimeters, whatever that would be. If you had a rectangle, your formula for the rectangle is length times width. So if this were 10 and this were 5, I would say 10 times 5 is 50, and that would be 50 square inches, square centimeters, whatever. For a triangle, your formula is area equals 1/2 base times height. This is the height. That's what forms the right angle on the triangle. And this is the base. So you're just simply plugging those numbers into the formula. So let's go back to the book for a minute. So here are some example problems in your book. It says the length of a rectangle is 32 meters and the width is 20 meters. Find the perimeter and the area. So if we look at that one, the perimeter and the area. So the perimeter of a rectangle is 2 times length plus 2 times W. It gives you the length and it gives you the width. So you're going to say 2 times 32 plus 2 times 20, and you're going to get 64 plus 40. So you're going to get 104. It's meters, it's perimeter, so you just say 104 meters. When you do area, you say length times width, so you do 32 times 20, and you get 640 square meters. So again, you're just plugging these numbers into the formula that you have. Let's see if we can find one that's a triangle. That seems to be the harder ones for people. So here's one that's a triangle. So this one says find the area of a triangle with base 13 inches and height 2 inches. The area of your triangle is 1/2 base times height. So 1/2 times 13 times 2. And if you're using a calculator, you can change the 1/2 to 0.5 if you want to get your math correct. I would probably look at it and go 13 times 2 is 26, and half of 26 is 13. It is area and it's inches, so you would do square inches on that one. So that's how you would deal with that one. So you need to practice some of these, so make sure that you do the practice problems that I've suggested in your homework.